Welcome back, everyone, to yet another college basketball conference tournament preview. I'm your host, Big Man on Campus. Today, taking a look at the Northeast Conference, the NEC conference tournament preview, getting you ready for every conference tournament here in March. Do have a video on each of them, which will be coming out as the weeks go on here. Already did several of them today, even Big Ten, Ohio Valley. We get one more started tonight in the NEC, a conference that I've always enjoyed this conference. Up in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. You got a lot of the city schools in New York: Wagner, LIU, Brooklyn, St. Francis. Really a fun tournament. You go up to Connecticut at Central Connecticut State, and down to Mount St. Mary's in Maryland. A fun conference. I'm going to get you ready for it here today with some interesting teams. Another fairly fun conference here. Favorite is Wagner right now. You do got to lay $1.20 to win 100 here with the Seahawks. But look, they're the favorite. A note to mention here: this conference does have the higher seed hosting, so Wagner will host unless they lose. Then it would go to obviously the second or third or whoever. But Wagner, for as long as they're in this tournament, will play up in Staten Island. There's a trivia question for you. Staten Island is where the Wagner Seahawks reside. Look, they're my pick to win this conference, but I will give you a sleeper. I like Wagner. I like everything they do. Over the years, if you know anything about their coach, Bashir Mason, great coach, by the way, they've always done a great job defensively. And that's just really one of their bell cows throughout his tenure. And, you're looking at stats and trends. Look, they're the best defense team in this conference. Analytically and efficiency-wise, they have the best defense. But the knock for them has always been, where's the offense coming from? You also look defensively that something that I really key in on is three-point defense. When you're facing teams like Mount St. Mary's, who are particularly relying on threes, you have to be able to defend the three. You look at this year at home, opponents are shooting just 29.3% against the Wagner Seahawks. It's one of the big reasons they've been so dominant. They're very difficult to score on. They're good in transition. They really just kind of buy into Bashir Mason's defensive prowess. But the big difference with them this year, if you look at this team, guard play has been fantastic for Wagner. Whether it's JoJo Cooper or Ramon Sanders or Blake Francis, this team's been really good offensively, particularly at the guard position. They're hyper aggressive. They're quick. They're well sized. They just do a nice job with their defensive prowess. It's hard to pick against them. Plus, they have the great fact that they're going to host this tournament. It's just really hard to envision them not being there in that championship game. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to do it. You look at the one team that I think will give them some trouble, but why they won't. Mount St. Mary's, if they are able to get to the final, there's two reasons why I don't think they could beat Wagner. First of which, for Mount St. Mary's to be effective and in this tournament, they have to play at home. That's one of the reasons they made the tournament last year. They had that great crowd down in Emmitsburg, Maryland. They don't have that this year. If they get to the final, most likely they're going to have to travel. You really, if you're a Mount St. Mary's fan, you're rooting for LIU, Brooklyn, or St. Francis because you want to host that final game. But I wouldn't count out St. Francis, the Red Flash. I wouldn't count out even tonight's game, Robert Morris. But Robert Morris is the problem they have is they're a fairly young team. I don't know how they'll handle the Mount St. Mary's press. Look, Mount St. Mary's is the best player in the conference in Junior Robinson, a quick little guy that is really, really fast and really good. But to me, the concern with Mount St. Mary's, if Wagner gets beat before the final, Mount St. Mary's will win this conference. That home court advantage is really good. They're hard to beat there. So, I'll mark that down. But I don't think that Wagner's going to get beat. But it's interesting because my sleeper team, a team that I could see making a run, is LIU Brooklyn, a team that if they're going to get to the final, they would have to travel because they would beat Wagner in the semis and have to travel down to Emmitsburg. You look at how LIU Brooklyn's going to have to get there at 11-1. They're going to have to go through, if they can even win their first game tonight, they're going to have to get through Wagner. A fun city matchup between Staten Island and Brooklyn. But But you look at Brooklyn, they're a really good matchup for Wagner. And I remember last year they had a guy named Jerome Frink, LAU Brooklyn. Really liked him. Good player, big kid. They have a new coach up there, Derek Kellogg, who was at UMass for many years. He got fired. Now he's in Brooklyn. Kind of has the Brooklyn look, the slick back hair, the attitude. Kind of fits the persona there in Brooklyn. Kind of a brash guy, doesn't care. You got to respect that. LIU is kind of the polar opposite of what Wagner is. LIU Brooklyn is high energy, high paced. They run a press, they go fast, they're very transition reliant. I think Joel Hernandez is a great player. Augusto, Raekwon Clark. They just present a matchup problem because they can attack, they can play in the post, which could give Wagner a bit of a problem. This conference is interesting because it's very similar in a way to kind of what you just talked about. You have teams that are very defensive reliant. They want to play in the half court. They want to get you in the half court. And then you have teams, and that's what's so great about basketball. You have so many different types of teams. You have teams that want to play defense, want to run, want to sit in the half court. It's efficiencies. It's just a great game, man. It's that's what's so great about conference tournaments. You see so many different types of teams. But all in all, you're probably asking me, so what's your pick for this conference? I think after all is said and done, I think that 1-4 matchup on Saturday will be a fun game. Wagner and LIU Brooklyn, great New York matchup. I think Wagner will find a way to win the game late. They'll advance to the championship, and I believe they will play Mount St. Mary's, a 1-2 matchup. I think it'll be fairly, close to the vest. But I think Wagner at home, it's really the edge. Mount St. Mary's, they won't beat Wagner at home. I just don't see it. They're very reliant on the three-point shot. I mentioned the Wagner success against the three. They beat them and took them to task in the matchup in Staten Island. They did go to Mount St. Mary's and lose, but they don't have to travel this year if they get there. So for me, I would lay the number with Wagner. It's hard to not do it as the 1 seed. They are the best team here, but don't sleep on LIU Brooklyn. Could be a fun game. Might be a good betting opportunity in the second game for Wagner against LIU Brooklyn, maybe taking the dog there in LIU. I definitely think they could give Wagner a game. So for me, Wagner minus 120. I'll take a small shot at 11-1 on LIU Brooklyn. Should be a fun tournament as always in the NEC conference. One of those down home, knockdown, drag out conferences. You get the games at home for the higher seed. This is college basketball right here. Everyone enjoy the NEC conference tournament. I am the big man on campus. I'll be back tomorrow with more as we continue to send into March. Take a look at all 3 previews I did today and all the previews I did on my YouTube channel. You'll see the Big Ten. You'll see the NEC. You'll see the OVC. You'll see the Patriot League. You'll see the Atlantic Sun. You'll see the Big South. You'll see all the conferences that I've already gotten to. Hit the like button, and as always, join me on the various websites that I do. SBR Forum, which is my bell cow, my own channel, which is the big man on campus. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.